Calling the zoning hearing board member for zoning hearing board meeting for February 7th, 2023 to order, somewhat late, but we now have quorum. There's 3 members here, and we have one appeal on the agenda tonight. So appeal 23-1994. Get sworn in, and then we'll read the exhibits in and then get started. So.
All right, going to mark the exhibits as follows. We're going to have the application as A1. There's the minor subdivision plan, which will be A2. The existing features plan, which will be A3. The stormwater plans that are A4, and there's an aerial photograph of the properties that will be A5. B1 is the proof of publication, B2 proof of posting, and B3 notice to the neighbors.
Okay, might as well explain what you're looking for here and what the plans are.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Flager, thank you very much. Hearing board members, I'm Kelly McGowan representing the applicant. Application this evening is for a residential parcel located on Lindenhurst Road. It's in the R1 residential low density zoning district. Applicant's proposal is to subdivide this property into a second building lot for the construction of a second single family dwelling. Single family dwellings on the lot size as proposed is a permitted use within the R1 zoning district. There are 3 requests for relief this evening. Notably, while this property is burdened by several natural resources, which Heath will take you through in describing the application, this is not an application about the disturbance of natural resources. There is, as I said, 3 requests for relief, one of which is to place stormwater management facilities in a wetland buffer. Your ordinance requires 100-foot buffer from a wetland. We are proposing minimal improvements in the form of stormwater management. We are not proposing any encroachment within any wetlands on the property. The second request for relief is from the requirement not to disturb steep slopes over 25%. What Mr. Dumack will explain to you is that there's an area of steep slopes on this property that are classified as steep slopes, although they are man-made slopes in a location of existing improvements on the existing lot. The third request for relief you will hear testimony on is from it's a measurement, a dimensional requirement. And that dimensional requirement is that you take all setback measurements and measurements on a lot, and you measure them from the natural resources as opposed to how we're used to doing so from the lot lines. We have requested to measure the building envelope and those setbacks from the lot lines in order to have a feasible building envelope on that lot to be created, lot 2. So with that, I would ask Keith to introduce himself for the record.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Heath Dumack. I am the president and owner of Dumack Engineering. I'm a licensed professional engineer and surveyor in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So a licensed engineer in 44 other states across the country.
Okay.
Mr. Flager, if I may, the township's not going to oppose Mr. Dumack being offered as an expert for engineering purposes, as he has been in front of this board numerous times.
Thank you.
So noted.
Thank you. I'd ask that he be so recognized. Heath, you were retained by the applicant in this case to prepare the plans, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Question? Okay. Understood. Thank you very much. And in your preparation of the plans, did you review the zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance that will be applicable to this development?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, and did you confirm that other than the request for relief this evening, this plan will comply with the other requirements of the zoning ordinance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You heard my characterization of the relief to start the hearing. Do you agree with those 3 requests?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm going to direct you to what's been marked as Exhibit A5. This is an aerial. Can you explain to the zoning hearing board the property and what they are looking at?
Sure. Mr. Majewski, if you can
Sure.
The site itself is a highly irregular shaped lot. It's on the west side of Lindenhurst Road. The original geometry included what is now a substantial portion of Lindenhurst Road. The original acreage of the parcel was plus or minus 6 acres. We are now, with taking out the right of way, we're plus or minus 4.45 acres. Bisecting the lot is a existing drainage feature or water course. To the north end of the property is the existing single-family home, along with a pool and deck patio, elevated deck patio that make up the home site. There's a single driveway that services the home that comes in off of Lindenhurst Road.
And that water course that you noted, is that the water course, as I referenced to start the hearing, that is the subject of the setback?
Yes, ma'am.
And is the property located to that be south of the water course? Is that usable property?
No, it is not. It's predominantly, if you were to take setbacks from that, you wouldn't have anything buildable. There's also an existing pond that's just off the property on the next door neighbor. And that also would require a buffer from the top of bank. So realistically, the parcel, the portion of the lot that's southerly is in essence unusable.
Okay. You may have noted this, but the access to this property, can you explain where that's located?
Sure. It's on the western side of Lindenhurst Road, on the northern side of the existing water course. If you happen to have driven by, there are brick monument posts or columns on either side of the driveway as you pass by.
And can you explain to the zoning hearing board the topography of the property?
Certainly. Basically, the low point on the parcel, on the entire parcel and the region, is the water course that bisects the property. The higher end of the site is where the existing house and pool are to the north. And again, to the south, similarly, the water does flow towards the water course in the center of the northern half of the lot.
Okay, and does that topography impact the developability and how this property can be developed?
Yeah, well, the water course itself is obviously an impact on everything. The positive nature is that we know exactly where all the water is going towards. And what we've done is through a series of sketch plans, evolved to where we've gotten probably the most efficient means to manage the stormwater runoff in proposing a ballast pit or French drain design that basically runs parallel to the water course just uphill from it within the wetland or water course buffer.
Okay, and in connection with the project, will you also be improving the stormwater condition on the existing lot?
Yes. Based on your own stormwater ordinance, we will also be putting in stormwater controls for the existing home lot where right now there is none.
Okay. Going to direct you now to what's been marked as Exhibit A2, that's the minor subdivision plan.
Okay.
You point out for the zoning hearing board, the location of the proposed subdivision line.
Certainly. The demarcation point for the two lots would be just north of the existing driveway. It runs basically west, changes course once, and then ends perpendicular to the what I would call the rear property line. Basically 2/3 of the lot, if not more, would be the new parcel or lot 2, with the smaller piece being lot 1, which is the existing home.
And as we referenced earlier, the location of that subdivision line in that, as you've proposed, it results in two conforming lots with respect to area and other dimensional requirements.
That is correct. Yes.
Specifically, with respect to the wetland buffer. I also note on exhibit A2, the line you have that delineates 100-foot wetland buffer, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What specifically is the applicant proposing within that buffer area?
I apologize. The proposed ballast pit, which is an underground system, and associated grading to direct the runoff from portions of the uphill or upslope areas into that ballast pit or stormwater system. The ballast pit, as you should be aware, is an underground system. So realistically, nothing aside from some slight grading and a couple of yard drains or inlets would be visible from the surface.
And will the construction of that facility have any impact on the actual physical wetlands on the property?
No.
Okay. And can you approximate, because I don't see the dimension on this plan, the distance from the wetlands of this proposed facility
In excess of 100 feet.
to the proposed facility that's located within the buffer?
Well, the water course is not a wetland.
Okay.
However, the term is wetland buffer.
Mhm.
You're looking at approximately 60 feet from the corner of the, I'll call it the western corner of the ballast pit to the top of bank of the existing drainage feature or stream.
Thank you for correcting me.
Sorry.
Are there any other impacts or any other requests for relief associated with the resources on that proposed lot?
On that proposed lot, aside from for the resources, no, that is it.
So the applicants also requested a variance from the steep slope disturbance requirement.
That is correct.
Can you, with reference to, and now I'm going to move you over to the existing features plan, that would be exhibit A3. Can you direct the zoning hearing board to where on this property those steep slopes are located?
Certainly. If you look at the existing home and the existing pool patio deck area, you'll see dark colored line or dark colored shaded areas between the home and the pool, basically directly adjacent. I'll call it the southern side of the pool and the northern side of the house. Those are the steep slopes in excess of 25%. And those were created by the construction of the pool patio and deck.
And that disturbance is to facilitate an addition to that existing house, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
What is your understanding with respect to the existing dwelling?
That home has, it's aged and is in need of improvement. The addition and the work that's going to be performed on that house will simply be bringing it up to what I'll call more of a modern current finish as opposed to what it was originally.
And we've noted your testimony in previous cases in front of this zoning hearing board. Are you familiar with Lower Makefield Township and with this neighborhood?
Absolutely.
Okay. And based upon your knowledge of the neighborhood, is this proposed plan, including that addition, a benefit or an improvement to the property in the neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
The last request for relief was the dimensional request that I noted.
Yes.
What would be the impact if you were required to measure the setbacks and take the building envelope from the resources?
In essence, you would not have a building lot.
Okay. And to your previous testimony with respect to lot 2 encompassing 2/3 of the lot, that would impact 2/3 of this property, correct?
Yes.
Did you prepare multiple, I think you noted multiple designs for this plan, multiple sketches?
Yes.
Okay. And after going through that process, was it your determination that this proposed sketch is the sketch that results in the minimum request for relief?
That is correct. I think we went through about half a dozen configurations before we weighed this as our best and least invasive option.
And you're showing maintaining that single access, that driveway.
Yes, ma'am.
This will be a proposed shared driveway scenario?
That is correct. Yes,
And it's your understanding that the applicant is willing to and will be preparing a shared driveway agreement to the satisfaction of Lower Makefield Township?
absolutely.
Also just want to note with respect to the existing dwelling, is it your understanding that that dwelling is currently rented, used as a rental?
That's my understanding. Yes,
Okay, and also your understanding that in connection with this development and as this progresses, that that use will be discontinued?
That's my understanding from the owner. Yes,
And these will be two single-family for sale lots, correct?
yes.
Heath, is there anything about the plan you prepared that you believe will cause any adverse impact either on this property or to adjacent properties?
No,
All of your opinions this evening given as an expert in civil engineering?
yes, miss. Ma'am.
I'll take.
Sorry.
yes. I have nothing further on direct.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
Okay,
I'll
we,
take it.
we did skip a step there about accepting Mr. Dumac's credentials, but I think we're accepting them. Okay, I believe the township has comments, so may you please go ahead, Ms. Kerr.
So, Mr. Dumac, is there any clear delineation on any of those three plans that were admitted as exhibits as to the actual showing of the water course that dissects or bisects the property?
Yes, both the existing features plan on which is my sheet 2 and the preliminary PCSM plan, which is my sheet 3. I apologize. I don't know exhibit A, what the.
But that's, no, exhibit A1 was the proposed subdivision plan. For lack of the fact that I can't read the small print, where do you show your
Would you like me to? Oh,
water course on exhibit A, your existing features plan?
thank you, Mr. Majewski. This is the where he's got his pointer is the watershed, the actual water course itself.
And that's depicted by a long line with 3 dots and followed by another long line.
And Heath, can you note, because I think it might be important just to show that, is that a culvert on Lindenhurst?
Yes,
Goes into-
that is correct. There is a culvert here and it crosses Lindenhurst Road.
Okay,
So that, and there is an end wall or concrete structure.
that's
at
fine.
the-
And the reason because the shading on the printed plan is difficult to read.
The shading is the steep slope breakdown.
Okay.
So we've incorporated that into the plan.
And you called that a water course. Is it like a stream, a creek, a tire rut that flows with?
Drainage feature probably would be the most accurate answer.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, was that created as the result of any sort of construction, or has that been on the property as a natural feature?
The drainage feature itself is a natural feature. It would be the culvert crossing of Lindenhurst that would be man-made.
Okay. And if I go back to the plan that's labeled minor subdivision plan,
Yes, miss?
the bulk of that water course is going to appear on lot 2?
The bulk of the water course for that for the watershed itself, for the drainage feature, quite honestly, it'll take both lot 2 and lot 1.
So it'll be sort of equalized
Yes,
between the two lots? Okay. Now, you are, the applicant is asking for relief from the disturbance into the wetland buffer for the installation of the proposed stormwater ballast pit, correct?
yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
miss.
that's,
Sorry.
okay. And that shows as on being on lot number 2. Is that accurate?
There's actually 2. One is on lot 2 and one will be on lot 1.
So the disturbance of the wetland buffer is for
It's only lot-
both,
It's only lot two.
it's only on lot two. So,
Lot one has its own system,
Okay.
standalone.
and that standalone system on lot one is not within a wetland buffer.
That is correct.
That wetland buffer for lot two is to be 100 feet as delineated on your minor subdivision plan, correct?
That is correct.
And the only feature or construction is going to be the stone dry well, which you have listed at 10 feet by 180 feet by 2 feet, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Would the applicant, if you know, be willing to enter into a declaration of restrictions to be recorded against the new lot two that would prohibit any further development or construction within that wetland buffer?
She's saying yes. I believe that's accurate. Yes.
Okay. Now, you also stated that the steep slopes is the area between the existing house and pool.
Yes, that we're asking for relief from. That is correct.
So that would be disturbed as a result of the new proposed addition to be constructed onto the existing house.
That is correct.
Other than that proposed addition, there is a little section that sort of comes off that proposed addition that has a notation next to it that says window well. Do you see what I'm referring to?
Yes, I do.
It looks like a blank square with nothing written in it. Is that part of the proposed addition?
Yes.
So that proposed addition runs from like the back of the house towards the pool area along to the side of the house facing Lindenhurst.
Going towards Lindenhurst. That is correct.
How large is that entire proposed addition supposed to be?
To be honest, I don't know the answer to that. Total, my apology. The
Go ahead.
total-
It looks like it's written there.
Yeah, the total square footage is just shy of 2,900 square feet footprint.
The plan shows 2,887 square feet.
It was 13 off.
It's fine. And what, do you know what that proposed addition is to be utilized for?
Single family home. They're just looking to expand the usability, my understanding from preliminary conversations with the owner is it's giving them an expanded master bedroom and associated amenities.
Okay, so it's supposed to be an extension of the living space for the house.
Yes,
It's not intended to be like a garage area or storage facility or anything of that. Okay.
the garage is actually on the other side of the house.
And I'll ask you the same question, which I'll have to refer to Ms. McGowan. Is the property owner willing to enter into a declaration of restrictions, again, indicating that if approved, this proposed addition will be the only additional construction within the steep slope area?
Yes.
She's affirmed. Yes,
Thank you. Now, you said that there is the single driveway that exists is going to be shared between both properties.
that is correct. Yes,
And there will be, and if you can answer, a easement agreement between the property owners for access to that shared driveway.
yes, that is correct.
And that will be recorded with the courthouse.
Yes.
Yes, sorry, I'm nodding my head.
And right now, you said, to the best of your knowledge, the current house on what's going to be known as Lot 1 is rented at the present time? Is that what you've been told?
That's what I've been told. Yes,
But otherwise, if approved, the two proposed houses for Lot 1 and Lot 2 are going to be marketed as single-family residential homes.
that is correct. That's my understanding.
I have nothing further of Mr. Dumac.
Hey, questions from the board? Actually, I'll start with a minor one. And it just could be a matter of terminology here, but it looks like your grading plan, you're building up the grade for the second home into that buffer zone too, just for clarification's
To
sake.
some extent, yes, it's intended to guarantee that the water coming off the site goes to the ballast pit in question.
Okay. Matt and Jim?
So for lot one, from the hearing, the shaded area, one of the areas appears to be man-made for the purposes of whatever that use is out there, the patio area,
Pool, yes.
pool patio. The one to the northwest, is that part of that, or is that?
I'm not quite sure what that was. Maybe it was a shed that was built up, the grade was built up on that at some point. I don't know.
Okay.
We just documented what's there.
All right, and then I think it's an intermittent stream or perennial stream for for lot two.
Mhm.
Is that, in your opinion, is it naturally formed, or is it trenched in that straight line manner?
I think it was naturally formed.
Jim Brand, since we can't see you, do you have any questions?
The only question I would have would be regarding the driveway. Is it common for it to be a shared driveway? I feel like that's fairly uncommon, certainly in newer constructions. And was there any way to have it have its own independent driveway?
Well, quite honestly, Lindenhurst is a PennDOT road. Realistically, we have to abide by their opinion. Generally speaking, they don't like to see multiple driveways in close proximity to each other. The shared driveway tends to be the better approach when interacting with PennDOT. However, if we get into the HOP process and the driveway process and that they require a second driveway, at that point, we would have to revisit that.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Okay, I think we'll go to public comment now here. So does anybody in the audience here want to speak? Okay, what you need to do is come up to the microphone, state your name and address, and get sworn in.
Is it on? I think it is. Hi, my name is Patricia Bierce. I live on 1551 Wexford Court. And in the neighborhood behind. Bearce. Yes, I do. As a resident in the neighborhood behind this proposed project, I'm not in favor of this. I think there's a lot of concerns. I think they're trying to put a lot on a property that really can't support what they want to do. And I will make note that the existing home is over 3,000 square feet, and they want to add a 2,800 square foot addition to that. The current home is being rented as an Airbnb. So as a neighbor, I have concerns what they're going to do with these properties. And I don't think anyone mentioned the current property, in addition to the pool, also has a pool house with a kitchen and a bathroom. It's my understanding they never got approvals prior to building the pool house until that got brought up by another neighbor. And then they went and were talked to about that. But as you can see, you have a concern, a house, they're saying renting for 10 people can come, no mention, no parties, allowed at this house, pets can come. So, when you live behind that, it's concerning that that's what that's being used for. And now they want to add 2,800 square feet onto that property as well. And I wonder, what is the size of that lot going to be? And with impervious surfaces, is that going to meet those standards? Like lot one, when they subdivide it, what is that lot going to be? That it's going to have a 6,000 square foot house, a pool, and all the patio areas that they have. Does anyone know when it gets subdivided, what
No,
size
that-
the
that-
lots are
that
going to
Jim-
be?
Jim can answer that question and relative to the township code. And that's not, if they're not exceeding the impervious coverage limit, it's not a zoning hearing issue. It's a planning issue. But Jim, can you answer the question?
Yeah, they, I believe currently as their lot is configured, they are in compliance with the ordinances for impervious surface. There are some limitations that you finally get to with setbacks and stuff like that, that I can't envision them going much larger than the footprint shown on this plan. Unless they like eliminate their proposed pool to build a bigger house. Because they do have the septic system out there. They do have a 100-foot buffer. They do have the shared drive that pens them in. So basically what they have shown in the plan is probably about the maximum build out they could have on that lot.
Okay. And I know there are also sheds back there. I don't know if they're getting removed or what property they're going to be on, but there's two like metal existing structures also on the property. I don't know if that's been factored into anything.
Yeah, that's taken into consideration as part of their calculations.
Okay. And obviously, you know, with building another home and a pool there, you know, you have wetlands, they're asking for a lot of variances to be able to do this project. And I feel lot 2, how they're subdividing it really isn't a usable lot. And that's why they have to get all these approvals because it really shouldn't be built on. And, you know, you're disturbing wetlands. I mean, I just got it from the township. It was World Wetlands Day. And the reasons why wetlands are so important to reduce flooding, protect wildlife habitats, store and recharge groundwater, improve water quality. You know, in essence, you're having them, you know, do stuff on a buffer that shouldn't be done. So I just think there's a lot going on there and I do have concerns. They're saying they're going to sell these houses. What if they don't? Are we going to have a bunch of Airbnb rentals there? You know, and I just feel like as a township resident, if we have zoning and wetland protections in our township, we should be following them. It shouldn't be you hire an attorney to fight and you get to go against what the rules are for the town. I don't think they'd have these regulations if there wasn't a purpose for them. So I just have a lot of concerns as a
That's the
homeowner.
purpose for the board here is because
Yeah.
people will make requests for variances. If you didn't have variances, then there'd be no alternate opportunity for people to make requests.
Right.
So that's the purpose of the hearing here.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And if we just approve everything for variance for this, variance for that, it's like, why have the regulations in the first place if you're just letting people come in and overturn them? But
And if
Um,
I may, Mr. Solar, ma'am, just so you understand, they're not asking to build in the wetlands.
I know, but in the buffer, which
In
is
the buffer.
also.
Okay, you said
buffer-
wetlands, so I just wanted to make sure you.
Right, but
understood that.
in the buffer, which is also important, there's a reason why we have them.
I just wanted you to be sure that it wasn't in the wetlands.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that's pretty much all I have to say as a township president, you know, who's going to be, I look back, I can see this property, I can hear the music, I can hear, you know, it's Airbnb right now. So, you know, not a
All I
pleasant
can
thing.
say is if there's a disturbance when it's being used as an Airbnb, file a complaint with the township. We'll go out and do the investigation. There's certain regulations you have to follow for an Airbnb. It's not a use that we can prohibit.
Right, I understand.
But if there is disturbance, notify the township and they'll send somebody out to check.
Right, okay, thank you.
And Barbara, I think I can go one step further and the applicant will agree as a condition of this zoning hearing board decision that if they're inclined to grant the relief, the property will not be used as an Airbnb.
Will that be included in the declaration of restrictions?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, because I just don't
Yeah.
want a future property owner coming
Understood.
back.
Yeah, understood.
Okay, any more comment in the room? Okay, any comment online? Okay, so I think we're back to the zoning hearing board here. We have a couple questions and
I get two questions. One, there appears to be a shed on the back property line. What is it?
Sorry. folded up my plans. Yes, there does appear to be a shed. You're looking at the one that is directly adjacent to the township preservation property.
Yes.
I believe that is a shed.
Okay.
Um,
Can it be moved? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
We can move it in and get it out of the buffer.
Yes,
Okay. And then you stated in your testimony is the lot is very odd shaped, and I agree with you. Would you be okay with deed restricting the remaining wetland buffer on both sides of that funky U shape?
certainly.
Okay.
Mr. Carr, so that's what I was referring to, that whole wetland buffer would be
Okay.
restricted.
All right. Thank you.
All right, one other question here is that the township does have reduced wetland buffer if it's fully vegetated. So a solution that I would like to see, and maybe the board would, I don't know, would be that you agree to vegetate to 50 feet from the wetland. And then in the long run, you're no longer have the buffer issue. They would have to add the that planting would have to be part of the plan though, obviously.
Overstory trees. Any,
Well, that's fine. You done that?
Jim, do you want to provide any comment on what I just put out there?
Well, I would like to just point out that as part of the subdivision process, you would be required to replace the trees that are removed that are over a certain caliper. So just looking at it off the top of my head, it looked like you probably have to replant maybe like 30 or 40 trees, which would fill in probably at least half of that area that Mr. Solar had mentioned.
The property owner is amenable to doing the vegetated reduced buffer. So yes,
And Jim, those trees would count, the replacement trees could go in that location?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually don't penalize people for planting trees in a buffer that we'd like to plant.
To vegetate, exactly.
So,
Thank you.
just so we're clear for the board's edification, Mr. Majewski, what would you suggest would be a calculation of the planting of vegetation in the buffer area? I mean, are you going to allow it just to be whatever the applicant would deem appropriate, or?
Well, we do have ordinances that sort of outline how you can restore buffers and stuff like that, whether through trees, shrubs, grasses, or a combination of those. So as they can just comply with our ordinance. So if you made the motion, it could be, restoring a 50-foot buffer in accordance with the township's subdivision land development ordinance guidance.
You're kidding me, aren't you?
Jim Brand, since I can't see you, it's kind of hard to wave at you or know what's going on there. Do you have any comments or discussion on top of what we're discussing here?
I would say just in general, I agree with the idea that planting to kind of smooth along the fact that they're eating into this buffer seems like a suitable solution.
Anything else? I don't have any more questions.
Okay, and since we know that there's no public comment online, I guess I'll entertain a motion.
Is there any by phone?
No, he already waved his head. No, I already asked earlier.
Sorry.
I will make a motion to approve appeal number 23-194. For the plans submitted subject to, this is gonna be fun. Replanting the 50-foot buffer to comply with the township subdivision and land development ordinances. Well, thank you very much. Deed restricting the wetland buffer. Deed restricting steep slopes. No use of either lot 1 or 2 for Airbnb. Removal of the rear shed on lot 2 so that it conforms with township rules and regulations. And
Restoration.
oh, thank you. Restoration of the 50-foot wetland buffer per township ordinance. Actually, I said that one
already said
before,
that,
so
yes.
scratch that last one. I
Mhm.
believe that was it.
That sounded complete. Yes. Oh, I guess I forgot to ask earlier, Jim, you're satisfied with the infiltration as designed here?
Yes.
Do we need to put in the,
Subject to review and approval by.
This will have to go through the subdivision process, so it will be reviewed and it will be approved ultimately by the township engineer. And there may be a few minor modifications to minimize the impact that they have shown in the plan.
okay, discussion? Oh, we just started that already.
Do we have anything in about the driveway?
The driveway has already been shown as a shared driveway.
No, I know. I didn't know if,
It's a common driveway.
no, I didn't know if they wanted a
You guys have the.
agreement on that. I don't care personally, but
That would probably be covered, if I may, Mr. Flager, during the land development and subdivision.
That the minor subdivision plan already indicates that it'll be an easement, shared easement, so. All right, is there a second? All right, I'll second. In the future, that's your cue, Jim, unless you don't want a second.
No, sorry about that. First go at this, yeah.
It's good. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Motion carries as described.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. All right, that was the only appeal this time. Anything that we need to talk about for the next meeting?
Not that I could think of.
Okay,
we have an agenda. Jim?
I believe so.
All right, so we're on. We're on for the 21st.
actually you said there was no appeals on March 7th.
Well,
Okay,
it's
so
not
March,
canceled yet, but currently there are no appeals. If anything on the next meeting needs to carry over, it wouldn't be till that meeting that you would cancel it if need be.
okay. All right. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hey, there we go. All
Getting
those in
better, getting
favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Meeting zoning hearing board for February 7th is adjourned.
Good night, y'all. Take care, everybody.